And we're going to turn now to Hannah Harding. Hannah Harding is a poet and visual artist based in South London. She's interested in site-specific close reading and combines her love of experimental poetic practice, digital illustration and collecting to create ecologically driven work. Hannah graduated from Royal Holloway with a BA in English and Drama and has since returned to complete her Masters in Creative Writing Poetic Practice. Hannah, handing over to you.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for having me and for sticking around till the end. I really appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about my project. So most people stumble across something called mudlarking by accident, which certainly was the case for me. And after moving to London in September 2020, right after obviously first lockdown, on the precipice of the second, I was searching for some quiet. And one afternoon in January 2021, after ticking off sites in one of those classic things to do in London guides, a friend and I found ourselves on the beach by Limehouse, which is on the north bank of the River Thames. And I was born and grew up in Bournemouth, so this was kind of familiar territory, being right on the shore. And what I hadn't realised actually until this moment was that the Thames is tidal, which seems bonkers to not know, but also bonkers to know. And I was totally misled by the river in its title, thinking that it's, very much more of a stable in terms of its height. But all rivers have a destination, and the Thames is the North Sea, which is, just past the estuary to the east. And kind of overjoyed by this knowledge and the discovery of an escape from the really busy city and a home away from home by the sea, I looked down and I was thinking, what is the shingle that I'm sat on made of? It's not sand by any means. It was thick and claggy and muddy, but also there were lots of these fragments that I saw. And I saw that most of them were clay pipe stems, which were smoked. They were the original cigarettes that you see chucked all over the streets, made of clay and smoked kind of mostly in the Victorian period, but also before, kind of the 17th to 19th centuries and prior. And I knew actually someone who had collected these, the bowls and the stems from fields and rivers across the country. So I immediately knew what they were, which I was very grateful for. And that was an incredibly exciting discovery. And not only had me and my friend found this hidden spot, but we'd also found one that's filled with fragments of history. Because, I mean, when you look down and see all of these stems, you think surely that there's more here. And mudlarking is that act of finding on the mudflats of the Thames River. And so between May and August this year, I spent a frightening amount of time welly booted and mud laden in central London on the foreshore, where you can stumble across not only all of this clay pipe, but also Tudor shoes, Roman roof tiles, medieval toys, Victorian pottery, and I even found a World War II bullet casing. And there's so much more down there as well. So my project is called We Who Collect, and it's kind of a mixed media poetry exploration of these hidden histories buried in the mud and also resting just on the surface of the River Thames. And so through this project, kind of linking it back to this idea of the green and reconnecting with the natural world, I really wanted to build a deeper connection to this local natural environment that I hadn't explored in any way, and also to its human history and the effect of what we leave behind, whether it's in our physical waste or the actual acts that are represented by them. So the piece itself consists of a 16-page bookwork, which I measured it, it's 10 foot and 2 inches, very long, very obnoxious to hold. So I'm not going to hold it in this. It's much better seen in person. And it also involves a short film. And I've collected these on my website, and it has both the film and the bookwork and some photography that I took throughout the project too. And so the poems and the film themselves are made up of kind of found words and found video. collected objects, all of my finds from the beach, some of my rambling thoughts, loads of research of experts in these fields, and voices from all of the wonderful people that I met while I was walking, or that kind of have these links to mudlarking and poetry. So I'm very grateful to all of those people who have been involved in creating this work. And so I have a few poems to read today from the collection, but first I'm going to share my short film. So bear with me while I do that, while I share my screen, and make sure to share sound as well. Give me 1 second. Okay, share. And I'll play. If there's no sound, give me a shout and I'll do my best to fix it. Hello everyone. Testing. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Now I'm struggling. No, you're doing so good.
No, I think we should lead off. But it is quite a long walk, and we can't get onto the river because no one repairs the stairs.
Over the bridge! Woo! No hands!
Over the bridge. Did you capture it? I feel like it's coming off. Actually, just remembered. Clay pipe.
Oh yes!
You found the bit, well done.
Oh, it's got engraving on it.
It's very interesting to see what people are picking up.
Yeah, I know.
And then learn about it, because that's when you realise it's something that's worth picking up for visual appreciation.
Yeah, just keep walking.
Just to let you know, we have our first piece of Roman.
Woo!
Ta-da!
We're all rag and bone men, really, aren't we?
And what's more is that it's totally distinctive. Because
There's so much history, but it's living history. It's not just, you know, kings and queens and stuff. It's, yeah, I really like to kind of thread back through time, and that it's not, yeah, that it is tangible, and it's this weird scattergun what turns up that day. That's there. Find out about it if you want.
Yeah. That serendipitous encounter, isn't it? Whatever's going to turn up, that's what you're doing today. That's what you're looking up. And I know I'm just getting as much as my hands can grab. True. I'm still waiting for my prize piece, but yeah.
it's like anything, the more effort, the more.
Trying to be quite sparing with what I pick up, otherwise my house becomes a whole cabinet of curiosity.
I think more about
Got no
context,
place to put
i.e. where that object came from, why it is found where it is. But generally, you'll learn as much about mudlarking as you will about.
So, Martin, you think
It's not
junk.
treasure, it's junk.
But it's all about history.
No, but it's everything that is in there has been thrown away by somebody.
So you pick
So
up.
by definition, it's junk.
Yeah, that is exactly it.
That's what you're saying.
I just think
But it's
there's-
still junk.
It is junk, exactly, but what's wrong with junk?
So I've got recent Roman pottery. I've got medieval pottery. I've got stuff from the. I've got something. I'm looking for. I've got something from the Far of London. It's all blackened. It's history.
Yeah, there's a tension between the two things. I think that's where it is. It's in that gap where you make the associations. You're like, oh, actually, maybe this
I
way.
know the way you sort of like nose around the internet, and I don't know, just mudlarking came up, looking for treasure on the beach,
Yeah.
and it came up. And we came once, and we didn't have much time. I got some really interesting things. It's only the second time I've been back.
Well,
I'd like to do
you've
it.
got such an eye for it. It's amazing what you found. It's really brilliant.
Yeah, I discovered, I can't remember at what point I found the giant Facebook group where people sort of share their finds, but that, I think it was around the time that someone told me that I needed a license, and I started looking about what that is and how to get it and all
And
that.
often they look at me and they're like, oh, you know, you've done this before, and like, do you have a license? Essentially, like, do you have a license? And I'm like, yes, done this before, got a
And then
license.
the Facebook groups are kind of it gets kind of addictive. The online content, like the Instagram Reels, where you can kind of get this little remote hit of finding treasure. But also that people will go, I found this, what is it? And then there's a long discussion where people share, oh, I think it's this, no, I found this, no, it looks like this thing that my granny had, and people kind of like decode the objects.
Last 10
And I
years,
really, really like that.
since social media, it's increasing massively in popularity, for better and for worse, to be honest. There's a lot more people doing it, so there's less finds to find physically, and there's a lot of good, responsible people who do it properly.
But yeah, kind
Unfortunately,
of,
there's a few
like, if I can
very
like chuck
big
a
minorities.
nice flower in the water and then do my mud luck, then I'm like, if I'm nice to you, you'll be nice to me. Like, I'll find
The
something
majority
good.
of people do it for the love of it, and it's a very sociable and very friendly.
Especially thinking about the watery landscape of London and all of those kind of hidden rivers.
So from here to
Yeah.
there, you're just getting your eye in. And what you need to do, which is what kids are really good at doing, is open your brain. Don't make judgments, right? Don't think about what it is. Just spot something that looks
And I
different.
like the kind of layers
And then
of
whenever you
these,
find
yeah,
anything,
like,
wait till you've got a handful, come and ask me what it is. And then we can start saying, like, this is wrong.
what makes something valuable or important. I come from a long line of kind of like beachcombers and charity shoppers, and my dad can't walk past a skip. So there is this kind of like, I don't know,
With, like,
magpie
magpies,
instinct
just
to be like,
yeah,
"Ooh,
pick
I'll see
every
what
little
I-"
bit, and I
Like
think
a
it's
mudlark.
like a mudlark, and I think that's the thing. That's kind of what I wanted to access. Is we look at this incredible almost like an archaeological site, which is the whole history of poetry. Where we're just like, well, there's so much going on here, and it's all together, especially with the internet. It's just all in one place. Like, chronology isn't preserved; it's just there in front of you, and you just have to look really closely and see what you like and pick it up based on emotion, based on the mood you're in that day, based on if there's something in your head. You're like, I'm searching for a coin. I really want to find a coin, and then you spend your whole time looking for a coin, and that you think that's what you want, and then you see the most beautiful piece of pottery, and you're just like, oh no, that's what I want. And I think
It was
that-
the pottery all along.
there's something there
The pottery
about
being a metaphor for what in poetry?
Oh gosh, exactly. Who knows? I'm not even there yet. Yes. Yeah. Take home, categorise, look up a bit more. I just wish I could remember like everything that he said. I want to bottle
And I love
him.
also that it's like, I don't know, there's something very tangible about like some of these items are things that you would see in a museum, but it's just on the ground and you can pick it up. And that does weird things to my sense of like value as well.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, but also everything is trash.
Yeah.
And it's only a certain small group of people, very niche group, who all see it in a very different light, which is quite magical. But I think that to me is so fascinating that we can have these incredible figures that have paved the way for so many other poets, and be like, I like just that little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just see how that works in my context, and while still acknowledging the history of that fragment that you've taken. And I think this idea of context of production and context of distribution, when you think about different.
So this is our link to that rather sad part of our past. And we just go
Water in the sense of global exchanges of water and a more slowed down, less aggressive level.
Do you get inspiration from the Thames?
Yes, always. No, I like the story, Jackie. I like your story much
Whenever you
more.
find this sends you down the rabbit hole of inquiries and
I think
information.
there's something
And more
so nice about
importantly,
the moment before you just know what exactly it is, where you're like, this could be anything.
There is kind of this weird temporal overlap between you and all of these different historical
is that escape, is the
people.
quiet away from everything. I somehow just zone out for 2 hours and then always wake up and I'm like,
So
okay.
although the mudlarks are now clearing all the artefacts as they are exposed, there's still loads more which won't be exposed and will be there for future generations.
Well, I won't keep you guys any longer, but it was lovely to meet you. Hannah, lovely to meet you.
So that was the film. and thanks for watching. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read some of the poems that went along with that film, and they're more on the visual side, so I'll share my screen again so you can get the visual too, but I will read them so you don't have to read them yourself. Let's get them up. Hope everyone can see that. So this is the first one in the whole collection. It's the first of the clay pipe poems. A few feet, catching sight of a crescent of pale clay, sitting just proud of the mud, 17th to 19th, a fine chalky surface. In the curves lie traces, notches worn in teeth, so I grin and knees bent, eyes down looking. Like lots of people, I thought you weren't allowed down there, hop over wall licked by algae shaky in wellies. I found the first piece that got me, and I looked around and saw lots and lots more, and I thought, well, if there's this many here, then there's got to be other stuff to go back over for. Thames calls, I'm being drawn back to the river, even after finding nothing but stems. But gradually I got better at spotting, because stems are fine, they become a little repetitive, but a bowl, that's a real find. And then this is kind of a different part of the collection, which is all about the act of mudlarking and just being a mudlark and, you know, wading through the water in my wellies. We, glancing up from the foreshore now and then to see a woman making her way slowly along the waterline towards me. Bright blue disposable gloves, she would stop every few yards to kneel and search a patch more closely. She worked methodically, entirely absorbed and intent. I wasn't sure she even knew I was there, but there she was, her head down, doubled over with waves lapping onto and head torch, aching shoulders, but sight set, to order by place or geographical luck, empire, by time, but set and setting much better, following my line of thought through footsteps in the soft clay, equipped with mandatory license, unremarkable and unintentional, so thoroughly muddled, no context stratigraphy. You caught my eye, eyes only. We're all together with feet almost wet, reputation of magpies, we on this long drawn out dig, which began when we first started dropping, chucking, losing, wasting, breaking, forgetting ourselves for a moment there, for those later on to try and put back together. Bone pickers, rag gatherers, pure finders, dredgemen, mudlarks, sewer hunters, dustmen, night soilmen, bunters, toshers and shoremen, children, the widowed or the elderly, we spotted in the river at low tide. Renowned for tattered clothes, furnished with deep pockets, with thanks to the mudlarks. Young boys and women sell to survive, to leisurely hunched, knees bent, whisper tales of hardship and want, between mudlarking today and scraping together enough money from fines to eat or feed a family, clues to the past, a greater understanding of the people's history. Tide returning, flooding my wellies, damp socks. Maybe one day we'll consider first, hope, but maybe we won't. Pollute now and perhaps clean up later. Perhaps it is the reassurance that 200 years from now, future humans will look at our detritus with something other than the disgust with which we see it now. Metal cages capture litter, picking or passive catch-all, because someone didn't want them enough. But being found, a valued artifact, from trash to treasure, they have been brought back to life, connected with our forebears, without hierarchies or discriminations of plunder. Original ownership has got lost for the most part. Ownership is left to the imagination. Early 19th century, perhaps from the dialect, lake, play. I want them, these objects with no stories that belong to them, now find their way into waters, the everyman's history about the past. Don't look too closely, or you might just see yourself. In the golden hour, when the liquid carpet rolls back, we are free to comb and trawl without challenge, to carry home choice shards from which we can almost taste the biographies of those who were here before us. Thank you.